on behalf of the Canadian Maritime and Supply Chain Coalition. It's a newly formed group that actually started up in September 3rd of last week, I guess now. The reason for our existence, let me start off by saying we're not against trade. The maritime industry lives on trade. That's how the union that I'm from, the Longshoremen's Union, that's what we deal in, is global trade. What we're against, or what we want to remove, what we're here to discuss, is the new trade agreement between Canada and Europe. It's called Ceta for short. I'll probably screw the name up here, so bear with me. The Canadian-European
Trade Agreement.
Yeah, trade. There's a couple more words in there, but we'll skip them. From page 282 to 285, believe it or not, which is right here, destroys cabotage laws in Canada. For those, everybody here roughly knows what cabotage laws are. It talks about internal trade, or vessels going from port to port within Canada. So in this document here, they're gone. So foreign-owned vessels under a flag of convenience with foreign crew is allowed to come in and trade inside Canada. But not just movement of cargo. This is also going to affect pile driving companies. For example, in BC, FRPD, Reserve Pile Driving, they're going to be affected. Any dredging companies, they're going to be affected, because now outside entities can come in and bid on these contracts. Our job as a Canadian Maritime and Supply Chain Coalition is to bring awareness to our community and try to get this removed out of Ceta. We're not against Ceta. We're against the destruction of the Canadian maritime trade. That's what we're against. We're also here to protect the Jones Act, which is the American version of cabotage laws. If the Canadian cabotage laws are gone, I will almost guarantee you that the Jones Act will be affected. The reason I say that is quite simply, the United States of America will not allow Canada to get a gain and an advantage in trading with the European Union. Plain and simple. So what happens? If the Jones Act disappears, there's no more cabotage laws in North America. So the coastal communities that survive on, say, the cruise ship industry are done. Victoria, Nanaimo, Prince Rupert. Finished with the cruise ship industry. Because those cruise ships are not American flagged, are not American owned, and they're definitely not American crewed. So they will not, if the Jones Act disappears, they will not have to stop in Canada. They'll be able to go from Seattle up to Alaska. It can actually even seriously affect the tourism trade in Vancouver. A lot of the cruise ships that do start in Vancouver start there because of the Jones Act. I'll quickly talk about the responsibility of government, and this is what our group's trying to say. And you got to remember, the coalition isn't just about workers, it's about our industry. It's about growing Canadian trade. It's about movement of goods in our country. And that's the biggest responsibility of government, is to enhance trade. Definitely, let's move our natural resources out. Anything we build in Canada, let's sell it to other countries. Let's bring in other products for us. But do not do it at the detriment of Canadian industry. I've seen a number there in the back east, a group of ship owners. They're investing $700 million in a new fleet. Gone. They won't need it anymore because of this. The responsibility of Canadian government is simple: protect Canadian businesses over foreign entities. You would think the Canadian government would have learned from the HD mining fiasco and temporary foreign workers. That was a big debate here in BC and actually across Canada, but it started here. This is worse. It's not a temporary foreign worker. We can't fix it with an adjustment to the legislation or a law or an act. This is it. If page 282 to 285 go into law, into our Trade Act, then we're done. Thousands of Canadians are out of work. There's no backing up, there's no rewind button like there was with the temporary foreign worker fiasco. We can't recover from this. Before I let Brother Abbott finish off this introduction of our group, our coalition, I just want to leave you with one thing. 75 years ago, the Canadian Merchant Marine sailed into Europe, saved them all, helped save them all. Shame on the European governments for doing this to us. Shame on the Canadian government for allowing it to happen. If anything else, do it for the brothers and sisters that lost their lives 75 years ago. Thank you, Chris.
Good morning. I'm Chris Abbott. I'm with the BC Ferry Marine Workers Union. We, too, have joined the Canadian Maritime and Supply Chain Coalition. This coalition was formed in response to the detrimental effects of the Canadian-European Comprehensive Economic Trade Agreement, Ceta, which will probably just be called the Canadian-Europe Trade Agreement, and the detrimental effects it can have on the Canadian maritime industry and, frankly, the rest of the logistics chain, because it isn't just the maritime industry this is going to affect. This coalition includes leaders from unions across Canada and, frankly, around the globe. We've got Unifor, the International Longshoremen's Association, the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, Seafarers International Union in Canada, the Alliance de Saint-Laurent, Canadian Union of Public Employees, the docker section, United Steelworkers, the Canadian Congress, Labour Congress, Teamsters Canada, the International Transport Workers Federation, the European Transport Workers Federation, ourselves, the BC Ferry Marine Workers Union, the International Association of Machinists, the Maritime Union of Australia, the AFL-CIO Maritime Trades Department. We've all come together, as Rob said, in the last week to come in response to Ceta. A lot of these documents are available widely in Europe. Nothing is available in Canada. It's obscene. It's an appalling lack of consultation with the Canadian maritime stakeholders. Our concerns include, but not limited to, cabotage implications on the Coasting Trading Act, security implications, ISPS, the loss of Canadian jobs in the maritime industries, transportation, shipyards, maritime training, and the detrimental effects of the entire logistics chain. Business groups are becoming concerned. I would call on everyone here today to make your collective voices heard, as Ceta could have negatively impact your respective businesses. We require the final documents to be made public. We require in-depth consultation. We are the stakeholders of the Canadian Maritime Association and industry. It's not acceptable. How can you put through a trade agreement that has, I believe Europe's been given 4 or 5 more days to make final comments, when we haven't even seen the documents yet in Canada? They come our way by way of Europe out of sheer luck. How many of you have read Ceta and its effects it's going to have on your business? Like I say, I've only been looking into the last 2 weeks and I'm horrified. To give you an idea, we've divided our group into regions. We've got Western, we've got Eastern, we've got the Lakes, we've got the Maritime Trades Delegations, we've got Quebec, we've got the Saint Laurent, we've got Road and Rail, we've got Europe, we've got Dredging, we've got the Jones Act, and we've got the CLC. Each of these are separate sections to review and fight back and highlight the negative implications here. How can our voices be heard when we don't have the documents? 2 weeks from now, I'm hearing there's some kind of final signing off ceremony going to happen, 25th of September. Signing off on what? Are you aware of what's being signed off on? Are you aware of the negative effects that could happen on your industries? Because if you're not, you damn well find out. We are united. We're not going to let the ball drop on this. We need maritime voices to be heard before it gets drowned out by the rest of the noise that's going to come out from the other implications of Ceta. It's a 500-page document. Our section has 5 or 6 pages that affects us directly. and a number of other sections indirectly. So we're here to highlight it, bring it to your attention, and ask that you demand to be heard and that you demand to see the documents that are signing away your rights and obligations in Canadian industry and the entire Canadian maritime industry and logistics and supply chain associated with that. Thank you.